How's it going, guys? Thanks for joining. Got a few people in tonight. Got Leander. Thanks for joining. Ben M. Thanks for joining, mate. What you guys doing tonight? Well, obviously you're watching me, but how's your evening going? What you vaping on? Vaping on the Twisted Message and the Tesla Terminator. Just going to wait a couple of minutes, see if anybody jumps in, and we'll go from there. We've also got the Vortex 30 on my OG Aegis Legend that are customized in pink buttons and pink sleeve that goes on the side. Just there. That's kicking out. I'm vaping that at 115 watts. So what you guys vaping on tonight? What juice you vaping on? This one I have the G14 classified juice in, and this one's got that peanut butter one that I've been testing at the moment. Looking at two screens, so if I'm not always looking at the camera, it's because I'm looking at computer monitor and the screen. Overpowered, mate. Blaze Pro Max. Serious Blue Pair sounds nice. Sounds nice. So like I said, just waiting a couple of minutes, see who jumps in. There's other people obviously live tonight as well, so people will be jumping in and out. Thanks for joining, guys. I appreciate it. I can see you've already hit that like button, but also hit the subscribe if you're not already, but I know you probably already are. I've been really busy today, busy all week actually. I haven't even been able to post what I normally post this week because I've been so busy, car trouble, and same as you, Leander, I've got grandkids as well and family, so we've had them as well. Yeah, I've had a good day. Just getting things sorted and stuff. So I do have two beers. I've got one that's me normal coffee stout from Aldi, and I do have a Bertha, which I've had in the last 3 streams, which is my favourite stout. We'll crack that open in a minute. See if anybody else jumps in. So some more people have jumped in. Welcome, thank you. Thank you for joining. If you'd like to comment how your day's been, what you're vaping on. All right, John. I haven't even opened my first beer yet. What are you talking about? Chug, chug, chug. I'll be on my arse. So there's about 5 of you in here, so I'll get started. So, welcome to the live stream. Appreciate you all coming. Got a beer. I'm going to show you what I'm going to build on. I'm going to make some coils, which is just going to be a normal alien. Last week I did an interlock alien. So this week I'm just doing a normal 3-core alien. So what I normally do is I'll show you what I'm building on. We'll make the coils and then I'll show you what I'm vaping on. It will be regulated. I will in a second, John. In a second, I will get it cracked open, and then I'll pick something to vape it on. It will be regulated. So let's get started. So I'll crack open the beer. So like I say, it's just a normal coffee stout that I get from Aldi. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I've seen your post, Ben, of your hogs. They look sick. Look a fucker to clean, but yeah, they look absolutely sick. So crack it open with my Blotto bottle opener. Get that. It's nice and cold. It's been in the freezer. So it's nice and toasty cold. Nice and cold. So let's go in for a pour. That's been in the freezer as well. So that's nice and cold as well. So this is just my go-to stout, coffee stout. It's nothing special, but it's not bad. It's a nice little drink. There we are. Nice little head. Cheers, guys. Appreciate all of you coming in. Oasis Cook. Oh, how we doing? You finally got the live. Nice of you to join, mate. Cheers. Shout out to the hashtag replay crew as well, who's watching. Cheers. So yeah, that's just a nice coffee stout. Pair it with this, with the peanut butter juice. Pair it with that. That's a nice pairing with that. That's a nice pairing. Makes that taste a bit like an Irish cream, but then the peanut butter goes really faint in that. But that's nice. Cheers, guys. So I'm working with one camera, which is my phone, so I will be moving you about. So hope you haven't got vertigo. So let's get started. Let me move you over. Especially with the wires. I've got a wire. There we are. Adjust my chair. So Oasis, I don't know if you've been here when I said what I'm doing. I'm going to be doing a 3-core alien today. Let me adjust this camera so you can see me. Hope you can hear me as well. Can you hear me clearly as well? There we are. Point you down a bit so you can see what I'm doing. So what we're vaping on is this. It's a 30mm RTA. So if you're not aware, I keep all my stuff in these pop tubs. Keys them nice and clean and dust free. So this is the RTA. Does anybody know what this RTA is before I mention what it is? Anybody familiar with this one? It is a 30mm. And it actually isn't an OG version, it's a V2. Wait to see if anybody comments. I won't show you the top or the bottom of it, because then it'll probably give away what it is. So this is why I'm just holding it like that. As you can see the deck in there. Nobody familiar with this one? That's underneath. Nope. Here's the top. So it's a Steam Crave and it's the Glass V2. Glass V2. So Leander, yeah, that is a Steam Crave and it's the Glass V2. Not the V1, the V2. So 30mm in diameter. So as you would normally in all your boxes, you get spares, O-rings, post screws. I've got extra glass chimney, and then also a bubble glass with also spare stuff, rubbers and O-rings on there. So that's your chimney, glass chimney there. And you can take it apart to wash. 810 drip tip. So this one has the O-rings on the inside, but then also has the O-rings on the drip tip. And it's a slide to fill. So you just slide it and then fill through there. It's a decent size, but if you've got a bottle that's like that, it's a bit harder. But if you've got a bottle like this, which is like a needle nose, perfect. But yeah, that's a slide, and that's that. So that's the top bit. That is the deck. So 4-post design. So you've got your positive on here with the peak insulator going around there, negative there. Your wicking holes there that does have a bit of a ledge for your cotton to stop in there, and that's on both sides. And then the juice holes there are a bit elevated. So when you're wicking it, you don't want your cotton coming underneath in that space there. You just want it to sit in there. As you can see, there's a little ledge in there going all the way around, but then a hole there for it to wick. That's a close-up of the deck. You've got airflow coming from underneath and a bit of the side of the coil, a bit of a ridge going there. Hex screws, honeycomb airflow on the outside, on both sides, which does adjust, and there is a stopper, and it stops all the way closed and all the way open. And you can remove this as well, it does pop off for cleaning. So that's the RTA, guys. That's what we're building on tonight. So let's get set up. So like I say, I'm just doing a normal 3-core Alien. Sorry if it's a bit repetitive, but they're the main coils that I use and the main popular coils. So last week I did an interlock Alien. This week I'm just doing a normal 3-core Alien with 26 gauge and 36 gauge NI80. So let's get sorted here a bit. So I'm gonna put you there. So I do have a little table that I've cut down that I use on my desk. It's just so everything that I do is eye length for me and not down here. It's just a lot easier for me. You can use a normal cordless drill with forward and backwards. I just use this from a Daedalus Pro kit that I used to use, that I don't use anymore because it took the fun out of me making coils. And then also my core holder from Friendly Coil Factory. It just keeps your cores all flat in your chuck if you're doing a multi-core Alien. So I'm just going to clamp it to my bench. I'm just using one of these clamps, which I got from Screwfix. Hanky panky. Hi, Hanky. Love, brother. I know, I know. So, like I say, I'm using this. You can get these from Screwfix or the other one, Tool Station, for about a fiver. I did see them in Lidl, two big strong ones for £6, but that's the one that I've got. Just keeps that nice and still. Um, Swivel that I use is just a bench vise with a block of wood that I've got two ball bearing swivels on that came with this kit. You can buy these on eBay or a tackle shop. Just make sure that the ball bearing ones, anything less will just fail. And that's on there, that's my swivel. So a couple of tools that I will need obviously is cutters and some pliers. I've just got some flat, no teeth, bent pliers. I bet she's not happy with that. And also binoculars, just so I can get a close up, and plus I'm blind as well. So that's that. So 26 gauge NI80 I'm using from Stealth Vape. There is better wires out there, but obviously the more better the wire, the more expensive. So 36, and this is quite all right wire as well. I've had no issues with it. So I'm just doing a normal 3-core alien. So when you do your D-core, I'll get to that in a minute if you don't know what I'm talking about. Your D-core, if you're just doing a normal 3-core alien, you do your D-core off the same gauge wire. The only time you do your D-core off a different size wire is whether you're adding or subtracting a wire from your build. So to keep it straight, it's NI80 soft wire. So I'm just holding the end of my pliers here, and then I'll just give it a little pull, and then when I feel a bit of resistance, it'll be straight. So I want 3 pieces, 2 of equal length. Third one I want a bit longer, just for my D-core, because you'll need slightly more D-core than your overall wire that you're using. I like to use extra wire just for my chuck and my swivel, or if I have to trim or make any changes to the wire, I've got plenty if I just need to cut some off. So I've got 1 piece there, pull another piece. So I'm pulling this off at 30 centimeters, 300 millimeters, 12 inches if you're an American or in the USA. So again, I'm doing roughly another piece exactly the same, and then for my D-core wire, which I'm going to be doing with Clapton on my D-core, the alien part, I'm going to do 40 centimeters or 400 millimeters, slightly over 12 inches. So again, just pull. You can do it in your drill if you want to, if you want to do it that way. If you're using a slightly thicker wire, 24 gauge or something, and you just don't have that tight of a pull, just stick it in your core, lock it down, and then just pull with your pliers and spin it a couple of times, and it will go straight. So this one I want 40. I know you are. I know you are. It's better than being miserable though, Hanky Panky. It's better than being miserable. So that one is 40 centimeters, which is what I'm going to be doing my D-core on, which is basically doing a Clapton wire, which you pull your Clapton bit off your D-core. So let me lock this in and put that away because I won't need it without knocking anything else off in the process. So my longer piece, my 4, is what I'm going to put in my chuck. Not a problem, not a problem, Hanky Panky. See you in a bit, mate. Thanks for dropping in. I appreciate it. So I'm going to put a little L in here, which is what I kept, which I forgot last week, just to make it easy to mark my wire on. So grab my thingy. So once I've got everything mounted, I will bring you in close so you can see what I'm doing. So in the center does have a little divot, so I will be just resting my wire in that divot and then it'll be center. There we are. So this is one of the reasons I like to have extra wire, obviously for the L, and then obviously in my swivel as well. So I'll just move you like that so you can see what I'm doing with my swivel. So I'm just going to pull my swivel a bit closer, like so. I'm going to put another L in this end. So like I say, that's why I like to have extra for swivels. And we're just going to pop it in my swivel. I'm not going to lock this down completely, just want to lock it in. So putting the L through, pulling this way, keeping it tight, and then wrapping that wire around and locking that in so it's not going anywhere. So then I'm going to pull my vise back a bit and then lock that in. So you want a bit of resistance. You want to make sure that your swivels are spinning with no issues whatsoever. So I'm just going to loosen it off just a tad. That's better. And they're spinning a lot better than what they were. So plain and simple. So that's your D-core wire. Like I say, if you're just doing a normal 3-core alien, just use exactly the same wire or size wire or gauge wire that you are using. So it only changes when you're adding a wire or subtracting a wire. You do your D-core off a different size. Have another drink. Cheers, guys. Hope you've got something nice to drink. That's nice and cold. Right. So I'm just going to grab my 36 gauge. Get you in a little bit closer. Hopefully my camera will play ball and not mess up on me. Just get you a little bit closer. Just so you can see what I'm doing, how I'm doing it to begin with. Get that there. See if I can get you all. Get that locked in there. There we are. Slowly. So you can see, so as you can see, I've got an L piece in this. Last week I didn't put it in. It just helps to mount your wire. So when you're doing your D-core part, which I say in all of them, whichever way you're comfortable doing your final wrap, which is your alien part at the end, is you do your D-core the opposite way. So my preferred way of wrapping is over the top. So I'm doing my D-core from underneath. So basically, if you like to wrap clockwise, do your D-core anti-clockwise. If you like to do your final wrap anti-clockwise, do your D-core clockwise, the opposite way. So it's always opposite way to your final wrap. So I'm just going to grab my 36 gauge. And then it'll be a bit easier this week because I've put that L in there. So I'm just going to put the wire underneath because obviously I want it to come from underneath. And then I'm just going to wrap that round there. And this will lock in a lot better than it did round that screw from last week. And like I say, the good thing I like about this core holder is you can go all the way to the end to that divot there. So it's just like a normal Clapton. Roll it, keep it 90-degree angle. I won't be holding my spool very tight because obviously I want that D-core to slide off this wire once I've finished. I'm going to Clapton all the way to the end of this wire and we'll do that. So I'll get going and then once I get a bit out of camera view, I'll move your camera so you can see what I'm doing. So make sure your drill is in the opposite direction or the direction you want to be doing your D-core off. And then just Clapton like that. So, and then I'm just going to put it full speed. So this part of the build, when you're doing your clapton part, if you mess it up, just reverse your drill, clear it up and then carry on. Now, this is the only part of an alien that you can go back on yourself and you can correct your problem. Once you've got that bend and that stretch going on, your final wrap, if you mess up, you can't go back, you just have to carry on. So basically, I'm just claptoning this wire like you would if you were just doing a normal Clapton wire for a normal Clapton build. So I'm just going to stop there and then put you there so you can see what I'm doing. Take this autofocus off so you can see what I'm doing. So like I said, I'm just going to carry on going all the way to the end where my swivel is. So like I say, I'm using these binoculars just so I can see all the inconsistencies or anything that will happen. So like I say, I'm not holding my spool very tight, just keeping it at a 90-degree angle. Like I say, I want this wire to just slide off this decor. So with your Clapton, you always need more than what your final wire is. So like my first tool, I did 30 millimeters. So with obviously chuck space and swivel, that'll probably go down to about 25 centimeters. So your decor has to be more than that. So like I say, I've got extra on this one. This is about 40 centimeters, 400 millimeters, but obviously taking into account that I've got these bends and obviously my swivel, which has probably brought it down to about 35 or just under 35 centimeters. And then once you get all the way to the end, it will recoil back as well a bit. So I'm hoping you can hear me all right, and my mic is doing its job and drowning out the sound of the drill. So remember, 90-degree angle. If you do go back on yourself, reverse your drill, undo it, and carry on. Start up again slowly, and then just carry on. So if you've got good eyes, you probably don't need these binoculars. I just do it just to check the consistency, that it's basically next to each other and I've got no spacing, because then that could affect your final wrap as well. Any inconsistencies can do that. So I appreciate everybody that's here. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel. I've also got a pinned link at the top of the chat if you want to buy me a coffee. Keeps me behind the camera and to bring you good content as well. There's a link there if you do so. Anybody that does will get a shout out on next week's channel. So like I say, I'm going to carry on as far to the end as I can, because like I say, once I cut it, it will spring back, it will recoil back a bit. So that's one of the reasons why you need extra wire, because obviously you need slightly more, and then obviously your spring back as well. That's why I want to go to as far to the end of this as possible, which I'm getting there soon. Trying to keep an eye on chat. Hope everybody's all right and enjoying the stream so far. I do appreciate each and every one of you that's here. Any questions, feel free to ask if you're not sure about anything. So I'm getting to the end nearly. So as soon as I start getting way to the end, I'm going to slow it down and stop there. I am right at the end of that, which is good. So I'm going to leave a tail on it. Just makes it easier for stretching. So once I've cut this off, this will spring back. I am right to the end. of my wire. So as I do that, it has sprung back. So you do lose about a centimetre or just under a centimetre, and dropping and knocking stuff off, which isn't good. There we are. So as you can see, just there, right at the end, just there, it has recoiled back on itself, just there. So I did go all the way to the end, but when I cut it, obviously it does spring back a bit, just there. So that's that. So by not holding it too tight, I want it to be able to move. So I'm just going to see if that moves. So as you can see, that moves. Can you see that moves? That's exactly what you want. You want it to move. So I'm going to make sure I leave a tail on this end. So I'm going to cut it round about just here. So this side has got a tail as well. And it's also easier to take these little bits off the end of there. So now that I've cut the tail off, as you can see, that moves off the core wire, which is what you want, so it's easier to pull your D-core off. Now, for whatever reason, if you have held your spool really, really tight and it does not move, just grab your other end by the tail. Just grab your other end by the tail just here, reverse your drill, a couple of spins, and it probably loosen off. If it still hasn't loosened off, don't panic. Just keep the drill in the same direction, spin it slowly until it starts moving, and then it'll slowly come off your core wire. I hope that makes sense and hasn't confused you. I'm just making sure that's not on lock. There we are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop this end off just here, like that. Being very careful, obviously, with your D-core wire, and then just slide it off. Be careful once you've slid it off your core wire. Be careful not to snag it, pull it, catch it on anything, and just put it to one side. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up my 3 wires ready in the chuck, and then we'll stretch our D-core. So there is a slightly different way that I do this. It helps me a lot. If you catch my last week's stream, you'll probably know of using some key rings. Now, Dave Watman, Handmade Coils, you probably know him. He catched a live stream and did mention Lego pieces, which I cannot find. So I opted for key rings, which works just as good. So I'm just going to put these 3 wires together. Obviously, one is longer than the other. So I want to make sure that they are all level and cut to the same length. So like I say, that's why I like extra for this, because I'm going to be obviously cutting bits off as well. And that's just gone everywhere. So I've got my 3 wires. I'm making sure they're side by side, all parallel next to each other. I'm going to load it up into the core holder just here. So I'm going to open my core holder. So the middle wire I'm going to put in that divot and then just lay and then lock it in. So it's hard to say, but you do feel that middle wire sit in that divot. And then once you've got it in there, lock it in nice and tight so the wires aren't going nowhere. That's brilliant. I'm sliding my hand down because I want to keep them all parallel. So I'm still going to be using my core holder. I just use it as an extra bit of protection, keeping those core wires nice and parallel. So you've seen me use this before. So I'm going to put that on there. making sure all that is nice and parallel. Slide that all the way down there for now. So this end I'm now going to load into my chuck, into my swivel, not my chuck. So I'm going to make sure these wires are parallel and tight. So make sure that they're nice and tight and parallel. I'm going to stick an L in it again, like so, keeping pressure pulling that way. There we are. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to load it into my swivel, keeping them all still parallel and next to each other. You don't want them overlapping in any way. So move that last piece out. So again, I'm going to put it into my swivel. I've still got all my wires nice and parallel, pulling towards that way to keep it nice and tight and taut. And then bam, do exactly the same thing. Load that so it stays in. I'm going to run my fingers down. This has got a bit of an overlap on it, so I'm just going to go to the end and then just press it with my pliers just so it's nice and flat. But that won't be a problem. Steve-o! Evening, my brother. Happy belated birthday, my brother. Thanks for joining. So you want it, you know, like that. So test your swivels. Always test your swivels to make sure that your swivels move. That's the most important. So they do move. So I'm going to lock that in nice and tight. So like I say, this way I'm going to be using key rings as well. So got these just little key rings here that I'm using. There. So just let me move my decal wire out the way because I don't want to mess it up in any way. So I'll just move it there. Hope you've got something nice to drink, Steve-o. Cheers, brother. So I'm going to bring you in close so you can see what I'm doing again. So not everybody will have this piece here. So don't worry if you haven't. Don't worry, just still do what I'm doing. Just obviously not with that. I'm just using it because I've got it and it's a bit of extra protection for me. So there we are. So as you can see, they're all parallel like that. So one. Oh, thank you, my brother. Yeah. Yeah. Appreciate that. 100 subscribers. Brilliant. I appreciate it. Appreciate each and every one of you and appreciate the love as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start this one off. I'm going to go around, obviously making sure that this bit is in the center of this first one. So like that. So that's just a bit of extra protection. Now I've started doing this, like I say, because I find that obviously in my lives when I'm just doing it with that, my wires collapse. Like I say, Dave Watman, if you know him, handmade coils. He did actually mention getting Lego, which I can't find. So I've opted for key rings. Now my other key ring, I'm just going to pop it at this end to keep it straight near my swivel. And they've got a good enough resistance on them. So it's easier, obviously, for you to move them. And then that just keeps them nice and flat here. So you never know, like last week, it might end up falling off. But yeah, that's how I've got that. So I've got that set up like that. Keeps my cores nice and tight. I do it in sections and move down, but I can do it a lot quicker this way as well. So that is set up, ready. So decore time. Let's get it all stretched. Show you what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. So I'll just pop it there. Definitely. I'll second that, Leander. Steve-O's amazing. If you don't know Steve-O, like I say, go check his YouTube channel out. He's on YouTube and does a live every Monday. So make sure you head over to there and subscribe to his channel. So decor, I'm going to be using this to mount it to obviously here. So I'm using one of these, which I also got from Aldi, very cheap, inexpensive as well. So as you can see with my decors, I did leave 2 tails on, and this is for basically this reason. So it's easier for mounting. So I'm just going to bend that leg up. And then I'm going to mount it onto here. You want to make sure that you're good and mounted, and then obviously your other end you're going to pull. Now your Alien, I can't tell you how to pull this. It's just one of those things with feel. I do it with feel and look as well. So it's something you're going to have to play around with. You're either going to have, I can't say pull it this amount of way. It's all by feel. And like I say, I look as well, but you want like a corkscrew, a wine corkscrew sort of look. If you overstretch it, game over. You're going to have to do another decor. So try and unstretch it so you've got a bit of a pinch when you're doing it. But the past couple of weeks, I've been getting my stretch perfect. Or last week, I got my stretch perfect. So let's see if I can replicate it now. So I'm just going to move my chair out a bit, because I also like extra room as well when I'm doing my Alien part. So like I say, it's just something you're going to have to play with when it comes to your stretch. So I'm just going to change my lens. I'm sorry if you can hear stuff out in the background. So I'm going to grab the other end, obviously tight, don't let go. If you do let go, and I hope it doesn't happen again this week, but if you do let go, don't panic, just correct what you've done. It's easier to do. So hold on to this end tight and then stretch. So like I say, I like to do it by look. So want it a bit more. So I'd say about there. So now you've got it stretched, you want to be very, very careful with it. I'm just going to let go of with my pliers because it might spin a bit. So be careful now. You don't want to snag it, because if you do, you're going to get imperfections. So what I'm going to quickly do here, put you back here now, and focus, because I've got it locked, which I don't. So this end that had the tail in, I'm just going to cut it, because obviously I'm going to be laying it on my floor and I've got a carpet. So I don't want this end snagging that's bent. So I'm just going to take that off. I'm just going to thread this very, very carefully. Like I say, you do not want to snag it in any way or pull it. And you want it to move freely as well. So I'm making sure that that's not going to catch on anything. This end, don't worry about your tail in. It'll help with this section. So let me bring you in close again. So this is where the magic happens. And focus. I want you to stay focused as well. There we are. So I'm just going to move that over just a bit. So this end still has the little tail on it. So that is good. So what I want to do is I just want to make it easy. I'm just going to slide it through one of these like that. Then I'm going to push this all the way up to the chuck. I want this tail obviously out the way because I don't want it to interfere with what I'm doing. So your first couple of turns is going to determine if you need a pinch or not. So if you've understretched it, you're going to need a pinch. So increase your pinch by pressing and releasing your press. Some people say twist your hand like that to increase, or do it the way I've done it like that, but your wire feeding ends up spiraling and can end up knotting. So I just do it like that, increase my pinch like that. So like I say, at this stage, you'll know whether you've overstretched it or not. Your first couple of wraps are going to determine if you've got your stretch right, if you need a pinch, and stuff like that. So I'm going to do a couple of wraps just to determine. So I'm going to be pulling this backwards and backwards once I've done. So make sure your drill is in the opposite direction. Remember, we did the Clapton, I did my decal from underneath, but I like to do this part, the final wrap, over the top. So let me get started to see what I have here. So I do need a bit of a pinch. So like I say, with this here, the way I've got it here, for some reason, so you want to be holding just slightly towards your swivel. I can do it a lot faster. I don't know if it's because of that key ring keeping everything nice and straight and I'm not having to deal with that. I don't know. But I can do it a lot faster doing it in sections like this. So I'm going to stop, slide this over a little bit, get going slowly just to get my groove on again, like that. And then once you get your groove and your pinch right, get going. So as you can see, I am moving a lot quicker than I have been in my other streams. So I think this keyring method does help and does get the job done a little bit quicker. So again, keep your angle just towards your swivel. So it's not like a Clapton, you're not holding it 90-degree angle, you just want to be slightly ahead of the game. So there again, get going. And like I say, this has been working for me, and it's been a lot better for obviously my live streams as well. Everything just messing up each time. So shout out to Dave Watman for the little tip. It just helps obviously keep those wires nice and flat and constant. So get your groove going again and then get going. So I do have a bit of a pinch on there. You just got to keep your pinch consistent now. That messed up there talking. So like I say, in this situation, you cannot back up on yourself. You just need to carry on. So again, I've messed up talking. And I've gone back on myself. So don't panic, just keep going. So I'm going to stop there, move along a bit. So like I say, that's just keeping it nice and flat for me. Get the groove going again. So because I'm using a regulated mod, hopefully I haven't messed everything up, or haven't messed the build up. Let's move across, keeping everything nice and consistent again. Get going, and then so it does make a difference. The key rings or Lego, if you're using Lego, it just does make a difference keeping those wires nice and flat. Move across again. So I want these just to move over like that and get going again. Get the groove going. And then I've got my groove going. So it does make a difference. As you can see, if you've catched my previous streams, I'm normally a lot slower than this. And then slow down again. I just want these to unfold a bit. And then get going again. Slowly. There we are. Get your groove going again. And that's just what's been working for me. So it looks like at the end of my decor. So I'm going to go slow just so I can get all this nice, which I'm not. There we are. So I did mess up there, which is going to be a problem. Yeah. So I don't know, which I probably won't. Like I said, I did talk good talk just then. I don't think it will. Right, so anyway, let's not panic. Let me get you in close so you can see what I'm doing or how it's been doing. Come on, focus. Hi Frank. Thanks for joining, mate. I appreciate it. Come on. Come on. I want you to play a game. So there is an imperfection there. My camera's not wanting to play ball or concentrate on what it's supposed to be. Oh, there we are. That's a little bit better. And it's just messed up on me again. I will give you a closer shot. I just want to see if I've gotten off. I'm going to put it back. If I've still got enough to do 2 coils. Now I might just get away with it. So I was going to be doing a 3mm. Yeah, it does. It does. Appreciate you coming in, Frank. Appreciate it. So obviously that didn't go well there, but a lot faster just using the key rings. I will get you a closer view. Just let me get this chopped about here. I don't want to lose them, so I'll just put them away like that. Chop as close as I can over to here. Like I say, I'm not doing these professional. It is for myself, even though I got a bit big-headed then. And are you on lock? Yeah, you are. Kerplop, thank you for joining, mate. And it doesn't want to. No. Sorry guys, I really am trying to try and get you a good view of this. But the wraps are nice and tight there, even though you can't, it's not wanting to show you the detail, the camera. Come on, camera. Come on, camera. So a little bit there. So you will see it more in the wrapping stage when I get to wrapping it. So I'm just going to move some stuff away. And I'll see if I've been able to swerve that little mistake. So cheers, guys. Trying to get your mixing done. So what are you mixing, Kerplop? What juices are you mixing? Move that, get that out of the way. Get that off. and get that out of the way. So let me bend you down. So if you haven't joined or you've just I'm building on 30mm glass V2 RDA, which is that. If you've missed me showing. So this is the V2, it's not the OG. So I've already got batteries in this, so I'm just going to use this. Watermelon lemonade. Sounds delicious, that. And I'm not a fruity vape person, Kerplop. I'm more of a dessert flavoured person. I wonder if that makes any difference. Slightly. So you can see the wraps there. So whenever you're doing a 3-core alien, you'll have one side which is flat and then one side with a dip in the middle. So the flat side wants to go obviously against your jig. Obviously for your wrapping. So I'm going to do 2.5mm. I was going to do a 3mm, but I probably won't get away with it with that mistake. So it is actually a great tank. It's not as airy as all steam crave tanks like the aromizers and all that. It's more of a restricted direct lung, but nice and smooth. Nice and smooth. So I know you can't tell, but this side is the side of the flat side. So like I say, the flat side goes against your jig and the curved side goes on top, just for the simple fact that the curved part will handle a lot of juice, or it'll help with a lot of juice getting into the crevices. So I'm going to start off with 5 wraps. Like I say, I am using a regulated device. So 4. 4 and 5. So 5, just there. So after I have wrapped, I've got enough wire for the other end. So that's 1. So I'm going to do another 5 wrap. Flat end of the coil you want against your jig. So like that. And then first wrap is always your tricky one. So make sure it's nice and tight. So 2. Which I'm not wrapping very good today. 3, 4, and 5. And this piece won't get wasted. So 2.5 will be fine. In this RTA, I have done a 2.5. So there we are, that's a bit better. So there are your 3-core aliens just there. 5 wrap, 2.5mm because of that mistake, but not a big problem. So camera's working, there's a bit of an extra, so as you can see there's a slight ridge in the center, so you'll have like a flat end and an end with a ridge on there. So that's the coils, plain and simple, nice and easy. Right, let's get this RTA built. So I'm going to still use the rod for placement and stuff like that. Just change my lens over. So let's get these post holes open. So I am using a 1.3mm. A 1.7 does fit better in these post holes. So it's sort of like in an X shape, the deck. I am trying to stay in camera, so I apologise if I wander. Like that. So, like I say, a bit like an X shape. There. So, I'm just going to test the length or the depth. That one needs to come out a little bit more. Nice big long post screws looks like, so make sure you take them out. There we are. Make sure that they're nice and open. Just going to check leg length. So there's not much there really. So where's my, just using one of these that came with my RDA. So I will go 5mm to start with. $5mm. Watch your eyes. So I'll just test that. So I'd say that's about perfect, because you want to, actually I don't even think that is perfect. Let me go down to 4mm. I want it a bit closer to that airflow. So let me keep an eye on chat. URN, thanks for joining, mate. I appreciate it. How's your evening going? So yeah, that's a lot better. So I'm going to lock that one in. Make sure those post holes are nice and tight. Like so. So I'm just going to make sure that one is nice and secure, which it is. So I did a 4mm for this one, so I'll do exactly the same for this one. 4mm. Watch your eyes. That did go flying, I don't know where. Earning that extra money. So appreciate you all that are here. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And like I say, there is a buy me a coffee link pinned to the top if you wish to do so. So let me get that in. So I want to just obviously center them off. Make sure there's no wonk. Now I don't want it too far away from the airflow. I just want it nicely there. So there's enough hole there, or enough room, should I say, there. for the airflow. I think I will pull it back a small more, just so it's closer to that airflow. So there, I've moved it closer to the airflow. And they're looking good. So let's do some pull some pinching. So I'm just going to zero out my mod. Pop this back on there. Is this a new coil? Yes. So it's sitting at a 0.7 at the moment. Obviously, I'm not going to fire it at 115 watts. So I'll start off about 35 watts. Slowly pulsing it, getting some heat into those coils. So let me get this a little bit better so you can see what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. Try and keep it there. So like I say, 0.07 as it stands now, that will change as I heat up. So let's get some heat into these coils. So as you can see, there's some heat getting in there already. Slowly doing it, nothing too crazy. Give them a little strum. Got some nice colour on there now, sort of like a coppery colour. There we are. Do a bit of pinching. Some people don't like to pinch. I like to pinch, strum and pull. So I'm looking for hot spots. So if you're not familiar with that terminology or you just stumbled across my video, hot spots, they look like lightning bolts in your coil. So what I'm doing is I'm just giving them a little stretch and then give them another pulse. So I'm just going to quickly check my post holes because obviously I've been moving them. That needs to be a bit tighter. That's nice and tight. That just needed nipping up a bit. Like I say, always check your post holes if you're moving your coils. Let's try it again. Get some more heat into there. Making sure that I'm still in camera. That's looking a bit better. So let me pump that up. I'm going to pump that up to 45 watts. There we are. So I can still see some hot spots in there. If you're having some trouble with the strumming stage, oh, you need to UNR. You need to see my other streams. There's been some wonk. Ask Stevo. So I'm just going to pop my rod in through my coils like that and just give it a little jiggle. Add some air. So as you can see already, they are looking good. So I'm just going to pump it up a bit more. So I'm at 65 watts and they're glowing nicely. And like I say, you want to get all your hot spots out, make sure there's no imperfections. You want obviously your coils glowing from the inside out. And they're perfect. So they're perfect. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this off and zero out my mod again. While this is cooling down. I'm just going to take a quick break, go grab my other beer, give this time to cool down, and I will be back in a couple of minutes. So have a drink, go for a quick toilet break, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes, guys. So I appreciate you. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you already haven't. It does help the channel out. So I'm just going to remove that, get that on there, and get going.
If you don't choose straight, relic, refill, and vape all day. This ain't goodbye, just a little break. More bills, more chill, more clouds to make. Max or nights, we keep it lit. Clouds so thick, we never quit. Be back in a jiffy, don't choose straight. Relic, refill, and vape all day. This ain't goodbye, just a little break. More bills, more chill, more clouds to make. We twist, it gets more than a game. Call sight, flavor on blast. Living that vape life, building fast. Maximize, we keep it lit. Clouds so thick, we never quit. The be mad in a jiffy, don't choose straight. Relic, refill, and vape all day. This ain't goodbye, just a little.
Hello, I am back, guys. Thanks for your patience. So that's nice and cooled down now. So like my other ones, it's one of these Berthas. This has been in my live stream for probably the past 3 weeks. My favourite stout, so I just had to get one. So mod zeroed out. Or it was zeroed out. There we are. So back on. Is this a new coil? Yes. So we're sitting. Come on. So that isn't coming up clear, but it's a 0.1 that's come out as. So that's perfectly fine. So I'm still using this cotton that I've been using, that I've still got. I like Kendo Gold or Muji or Firebolt cotton, but this, I got so many packets for free. So this is what I'm currently using. It's not a bad cotton. It's not a great cotton. It's just my preference of cotton is Muji or Kendo Gold. So this cotton's not the worst I've ever used, but it's not the best as well. One thing I do want to do is obviously put my chat back up so I don't miss any chat. So 2.5mm coil. So I will be thinning this out just slightly, making sure it's still nice and fluffy. Twist the end and thread through. So that is actually quite nice in there. So I might get 2 wicks out of that. Small scissors. So for those who don't like to waste cotton, we should be good. So roll that end, thread it through and pull through. So I think that's quite perfect. So that twizzly bit I'm just going to cut off. So I'm not going to thin this out, I'm just going to fluff it up. 2.5mm coils, so I want to keep as much of that cotton as possible. Obviously to go into those things. So like I say, I'm not going to thin it. I'm just going to fluff it, try and get a bit of the knots out of it, get it all fluffed up like that. Same with this side. I'm not thinning it out, I just want to sort of agitate them, make it all fluffy and nice. Helps with that wicking like that. So let me get me pointed tweezers like so, and then I'm just going to just tuck it into that open space in there. So like I showed you the close-up at the beginning, there is a little ledge there for the cotton to sit in there, so you don't want it poking out the bottom. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's poking out just a bit, just do that, and then I like to just give it a little stab while it's in there. But yeah, that side is in focus, so that side is in. Same with the other side, I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to carefully drop it in there, so it's not in there tight, it's in there nice and soft. I'm not overpacking it, there's plenty of room obviously for wicking and stuff. Same again, I'm just going to give this a little bit of a stab and make sure there's no straggly ends out of there, and that's touching the bottom of that. So they are sticking out just a slight bit. Come on, camera. And I don't want you. There we are. There we are. Mayo. Hello. Thanks for joining, brother. Appreciate it. So there we are. So it's sticking out just a tidgy bit at the bottom there, but as long as it's not touching the bottom, should be fine. And that's the end result. All nice and fluffy, as you can see. Right, juice. What juice shall I put on this? Now I'm using my, come on. So I'm using this. So I do have another juice that I've been steeping. When did I get this juice? So this has been steeping for a good, a good 6 weeks. It's a custard. Actually, I'll be cheeky and I'll actually tell you what this one is because I'm too secretive about my juice. But this is a custard, a honeycomb custard. This one, I'll tell you that. So honeycomb custard. I like custards. I really enjoy custards. It's one of my ADVs, a custard, but I am picky with my custards on that. Always great to kick back and relax. Custard, yeah. Custard, I'm happy with the custard, but I'm picky with my custards. I like them more simple, more plain, but I don't like your blueberry and your chocolate custards. I like just more of a plain custard. But this one was sent to me to try. So, like I say, I'm normally secretive, but I'll be cheeky and I'll tell you what this one is. So, juicing it up, pressing the fire button, sucking that juice in there into those coils, and as they're warm as well, they will suck in a lot of juice. There we are, perfect. So I'm just going to put some bit of juice on the side of these to wick, a bit more on top. There we are. And we've got vapor. There we are, nicely done. So let's get this attached. Yeah. A lot of people do, Steve-O. It's just, for me, I just like to enjoy the custard as it is, if preferable. Now, I'm not saying I don't like custard mixed with stuff. It's just the more simpler stuff is better. And not that I would normally vape a honeycomb custard. It would just, like I say, said to me, said, dear, try this. You like custard, you might like it, you might not. So that's that. So let me fill this up. So slidey job, just like that. Like I say, for these needle nose, it's more easier. If you've got a slightly thicker end where your juice comes out, it might be a bit harder. So I'm not going to fill the tank right up. I don't normally. I normally wait to see if I get any leaking or anything. So straight off the bat, I'm not feeling any leaking at all or flooding. So the capacity, I think, for this is, I'm sure it's about 8 mils or 10 mils. With the bubble glass, it's about 15 mils, 10 to 15. Exactly. I do like it, but once you've vaped it a couple of times, obviously that goes all misty, but not a problem. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be putting on a regulated mod. It's not going to be a mech today. I'm going to bump that back up to where it was, which was 115 on the Vortex 30. So, device I will be putting this on. Where's my lid for the juice? Yeah, true. I think there was a bit of a rage back then where you were getting tanks that had clear and then obviously RDAs with the clear glasses and stuff. So the iJoy Zenith Maxo. It's a variable voltage device with a pod just there at the bottom. It does have an LED light that flashes here and sometimes flashes on the top when it feels like it. It can accommodate up to 35mm. I would say 28. There is a bit of a nick there from 30mm just there at the top. Top fire button, which feels nice in the hand. Triple 18650 battery. Right, so this is beaten up and bashed about. This was one of my bangers that I used to use a lot. So it's had a lot of use of it. But I do have a mint silver one. So this hasn't really been used. It has been fired on just to make sure that it works. But that's mint. That's a stainless steel one. These were going cheap. That's why I have more than one. But same, exactly the same. And like I say, I got these cheap. So I thought, why not? And I got them for next to nothing. So I'm using, let me put that on there so you can see what that looks like. So thanks for everybody that's joined. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that like button. It also helps the channel. And if you haven't been here before, I do have a buy me a coffee link pinned to the top. If you wish to buy me a coffee, just helps to keep me behind this camera and give you good content. So that's what it looks like. So you have got a bit of overhang at the front. I'd say about a couple of millimeters. Doesn't really bother me because it's a nice big tank on a big mod. So let's get some batteries. So I've got some Molicel P28s. Now I know you're probably thinking, wow, these batteries haven't got some of my OBD booby wraps on. They will have some very, very soon on there. So it's positive side down at the back. So positive at the bottom. So positive at the bottom on both sides, and then positive at the top at the front, like that. So make sure I've got the thing on the right way. And as you can see, it lights up like that. I'm just going to turn that down to just the lowest setting to begin with. And we do have vapor. There we are. So like I say, sometimes this button at the top flashes. It's supposed to flash. It flashes when it wants to. It flashes green like it does there when you press it. And it's nice. So it probably will need turning up a tidgy bit. I will turn it up to the next section. That's a lot better. So still no leaking on there, so it looks like I've got it whipped just perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick tidy up and then get you back over this way to FaceTime, and we'll talk on it a bit, open my other beer, and we'll talk a bit about it. So we'll put you up so you can see me and see what I'm doing, or you can see that I'm talking to you when I'm talking to you, that I'm looking. But yeah, as I say, every week, this is probably the only time you will see my space clean, because during the week it looks like a bomb's hit it, because I'm practicing new things, trying to do new coils. I mean, I did want to do a slightly different build today, but my practice run, it went tits up. I need some smaller key rings before I can attempt that one. But yeah. So I'm always practicing. So like I say, during the week, my bench is not tidy. It is filthy. Tools everywhere, wire everywhere, built wire, unbuilt wire. It just depends how it goes, really. So, just going to have another vape on this. Finish off this last bit of the coffee stout. And that's good. So, tidy, 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 tidy. Sorry if you heard that car in the background. It's just a loud exhaust. I wasn't driving like a prick. So, that's there and that's away. Perfect. Juice there that I probably won't need. Right, let's get you moved back to where I need you to be. Wires. So, wide view of my room. Let's get you back to here so you can see me. And that's not locked. Try not to shuffle about. Right, guys. Give you a little show of it. So, glass V2 RTA 30mm. Simple 3-core alien. There we are. And I've got some of this honeycomb custard in here that's been steeping for about 6 weeks now. What was that? You saw bubbles, Steve-O? Let's hope it's not flooding then. So that's that. So I did have just a quick of a sneaky vape there. That actually does taste really nice. So if you haven't seen it before, I have featured this more on one occasion. It's a Northern Monk Bertha chocolate cake stout. And it's just my favourite drink at the moment. Let's go in for the pour. So it's nice and thick and rich in flavour. That's poured. So this is an 8.4%. An 8.4% volume in alcohol. So a very, very strong beer. Not the strongest, but it's a strong beer. Thank you, Kerplot. So cheers, guys. Appreciate everybody that stayed and watched. I do appreciate you guys. And yeah, my favourite one so far. So, with that first little 2 on there, it did seem a bit low. So I will turn it up. Come on, focus. So I have got it on the, looks like 32 mark. So I'm assuming that's 3.2 volts. Got some nice power from it. Right, let's have a toot. So it's a nice beefy mod, triple battery device. Nice big tank on top. There's a bit of overhang just at the front. So I do have OCD, probably like Steve OCD, but that doesn't bother me with this one. So cheers, guys. So when I say it's restricted, it is not like fully restricted. It is nice and smooth. The airflow is nice and smooth. Nice and smooth. And that juice is nice, actually. So let's pair it with this and see how it goes. Now that's a weird one with this one. Now, I do taste the custard, but not the honeycomb with this. It does make it a bit more chocolatey. Exactly. So I'm just going to turn this down a touch because I think it's just a bit too high. So the next notch down, which is about there. I'm going to try it there. Vapor's brilliant on it. Nice and smooth. No leaking so far. So yeah, a very delicious tank from Steve Crave if you've never had one. Now I did always want the OG, the V1. So there is some bubbles there. So it's wicking nicely. There is bubbles there. So I've got it wicked just perfectly. So Steam Crave, I like all the products. I don't think I have had a bad product from Steam Crave. I do have an aromathermizer plus original aromathermizer plus limited edition in blue, where they made just a few changes from the OG aromathermizer plus. But yeah. So as you can see, the middle glass does get foggy after a few drags on there. And as the juice starts to cook more and change colour, obviously that just goes out the window. But for a bit, you can keep an eye, and then obviously keep an eye on your wicks as well. And just a beast. Now the mod is brilliant. It's nice and simple. Variable voltage. Excuse me. Variable voltage, triple battery. It has the normal protections that you would expect. Reverse battery protection, overheat protection, low ohm protection, and stuff like that. And it also has a cut-off. If you have too much power going through that coils, it'll just cut off as well. And then just like any other variable voltage device, your color will change to a red when it needs batteries need charging on it. That is a nice custard, I won't lie. Now, I will say it probably will need a bit of a longer steep. Now, with these juices, I like to sort of like give them a couple of months at least, but it has had a 6-month steep on this juice and it is tasty. But I think it could get more tasty the longer it's left. 40mm. Are you talking about this being 40mm? Because this is 30mm curve plop, or are you talking about something different? Yeah, it's a good RTA. I mean, apart from the different designs they've got, it's more or less the same platform, really. You can use the same decks out of all the aromamizers, probably apart from maybe the Supreme. You can interchange the decks, and the reason why they haven't changed that way is because it just works. It's perfect. So, Steve, oh, you talk. Oh, right. The OOOG one. Yeah, I know which one you mean. That's the one with that rubber band that went round it. Are you talking about? For the airflow is what I'm talking about. Yeah, I know which one you mean. Delicious. Absolutely delicious. Now, I do have a few 30mm RTAs, bubbles. So it's wicked nice. There's definitely bubbles. And an Aroma Biozer Plus. I've got three 30mm RDAs. Obviously, with the new one, the Vortex 30 as well, that I've got now. And they tend to be ones that I have at home. I don't really carry a 30mm out with me. Oh, right. Are you talking about the oh, what's it called? The Ragnar. That's 40mm. It's keeping up nice. Haven't had any dry hits yet. Cheers, guys. It's about 15 years old. Yeah. That is a long time. That is a very long time. Let me just check what's going on here on my screen. That's all right. Sorry, guys, just got things popping up on my screen. I'm glad everything's running smoothly on the stream. Now, I do have my window open, but as you can see, it's getting really, really cloudy in here. So yeah, that's basically this week's stream. Now, I haven't even got to 2 hours yet, but I think that's due down to the coil build. Like I say, bit of help from a coil builder, Dave Watman, Dave Handmade Coils. I don't know if you know him. If you do, go follow him on Instagram and Facebook. Great coil maker. There's loads of them out there. He does great coils. Did advise me Lego pieces, which I have been trying to look for. But like I say, opted for keyrings, works exactly the same way. Just keeps it, and like I say, it helps me to move a lot faster as well. So as you have seen probably my other streams that I've done in the past, where I haven't used key rings, which is probably 2 streams and before, I do have that problem with that middle one collapsing and then messing up the wraps, which makes me have to move slowly. So the speed and the weight from it doesn't make those collapse. So that's working a bit better. But then I had to open my mouth and then screwed up a bit. So guys, I appreciate all of you that come. I'm going to leave it there. Okay, so that's today's live stream. Thank you all for coming. If this is something that you enjoy, please consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already. Also, like I say, there is a pinned post at the top of the comments that I will post for the replay crew, which is buy me a coffee. Okay, that will help me keep behind the camera if you wish to do so and bring you great content. If not, that is completely fine. You're not obligated to do that. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. It's been an absolute amazing stream this week. Thanks for everybody that has come and joined, dipped in, dipped out, and also shout out to the hashtag replay crew. I appreciate you all. I love you all. Love and respect. Keep it cloudy, keep it rebuildable, and also have fun while doing it as well. So I've got a few clicks to click before I am out of here. So, like again, I'm here every week, every Wednesday, 8 o'clock UK time, GMT time, every Wednesday, if you like to follow. I'm also on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and all that good stuff. You can follow me on there also as well. So, guys, I'll leave it there. Thanks for everybody that's come. Radiate Darkness, I've just seen your comment. Thanks for dropping in, mate. I appreciate it. Love you all. And I will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.